Chapter 1. A concerted, unified, vehement, diversified front against you enjoying sex. Let me tell you how I make my money. I tell the truth. I basically find out whatever pretty lie is being perpetrated among society to make normies, conformies, and inferiors feel good about themselves. And then, in a very direct, blunt, and even hurtful way, I tell them the truth. I then monetize the predictable outrage on different social media platforms, and I further milk that process as ego-invested normies tend to double, triple, and quadruple down on their lies to protect their pride. This provides further entertainment to be monetized, as reality proceeds to just beat the ever-living shit out of them, oftentimes for the rest of their lives. But the great thing about the truth is, it's the truth. It's not debatable. And so, when people are so emotionally invested in the lie, they not only hate and see that the person telling them the truth, but they ruin their lives pursuing emotions over reality. Worse, they are so addicted to the lie, so blinded by their emotions, they don't see I'm often one of the few people trying to help them, as, once again, I'm telling them the truth. Over the years, there have been many undeniable truths myself and others have spoken. Majoring in the liberal arts is stupid and will make you poor. Women choose worthless degrees, which explains most of the wage gap. Outsourcing your kids to daycare proves you love yourself more than your children. Fat women are not attractive. You are poor because you made bad decisions. You're not trans or gay or bi. You're a lazy straight person looking for attention and insulting genuinely non-binary people by acting like a douche. You're not suffering from autism, Asperger's, social anxiety disorder, or depression. You're a spoiled brat suburbanite with no real problems and are insulting people who do suffer from genuine mental disorders. People don't like fat, loud black lesbians in their video games. But if there was ever a truth I spoke, a fact that I caught flack for, it was when I dared make a very factual tweet in response to some Christian women's concerns that their husbands were addicted to porn. Quote, "The porn epidemic among Christians will end once women lose weight and fuck men, to the point men won't seek it." End quote. In response to this factual tweet, the Christian Twitter community lost its freaking shit. I was called gay, a porn addict, a horrible Christian, a sexist, a misogynist, and other varied sorts of names. I was reliably informed I would never have to worry about this, as no woman would marry me, let alone sleep with me. I was going to burn in hell because I was consumed with lust. I was reliably informed that only through God would I and other men be unburdened of their lust. I was victim-blaming women for their husbands' addiction to porn because it was an addiction, you see, and therefore, no matter how much they lost weight and fucked their husbands would still be addicted. A ton of sad, sexless, and simpy Christian men berated me in an attempt to defend m'lady via sneaky fucker game. And a particularly precious accusation was people accusing me of being an actual demon, or even Lucifer himself, which, in all honesty, was a bit flattering. Other groups of people got in on the action, which I found curious. Feminists, who normally hate Christians, echoed the above sentiments. Trans people, for some reason, had an opinion on Christian wives satiating their husbands' lust. Angry middle-aged spinsters proffered their typical and prudish Karen takes. And there was no limit to the number of vapid tradcon mommy bloggers trying to capitalize on my increasingly viral post so they could avoid working a real job. There was no doubt about it. I was in the distinct minority. I was evil and wrong. The world was against me, and therefore I must be put in my place. But if ever there was an instance where the "yes, you are all wrong" meme was applicable, where the individual was right and society was wrong, this was it. Because delusional, misinformed, emotionally fragile mobs coming after the one guy telling the truth is all so common that it's become also tiring, as well as a hollow threat. We're talking about sex. We are talking about a basic biological function that is normal, healthy, and universal across all living beings. We are talking about what brought all of us into existence. And coincidentally, we are talking about how future Christians are made. So no matter how loud, numerous, diverse, or cacophonous this latest coalition of internet circus freaks is, sex is not bad. Sex is not a sin. Lust is the foundation in which all successful loving relationships are founded. And men wanting their wives to be their own thin, hot, fuckable porn stars is good, productive, normal, and sinless. Oh, and by the way, it will lessen their consumption of porn. It's absurd we're even having this argument, and yet here we are. Unfortunately, Christianity's apprehension to sex is nothing new. A Christian girl I was attempting to date just point-blank told me she was appalled that I expected my future wife to wear lingerie, serve me drinks, and have sex in the kitchen. A preacher's daughter I once did the deed with collapsed on the floor crying, begging God for forgiveness, the display of which was so psychotic I slowly backed away and left. Another Christian girl said I had a neatly trimmed beard just like the devil, and feared I probably was the devil himself, which, again, if I was, I'd have a lot more money. And there was no limit to the number of born-again single moms I ran into where sex was obviously on the plate for the men who knocked them up, and then left, but not for me. Echoing my personal experiences and anecdotes are the limitless number of experiences friends and clients have had with Christian women and their complicated relationship with sex/romance. One guy I knew drove a Christian girl to a salsa club, only for her to complain about how American men were not as romantic as Latino men. I think he left her there for her to get an Uber home. Many clients have tendered field reports of the absolute nightmare that Christian singles events have become, usually with truly average women, many times overweight 30-something single moms, demanding God provide them a perfect George Clooney Christian. An equal number of clients have tendered field reports about Christian marriage, which invariably involved sex drying up, oftentimes infidelity, and inevitably a very unchristian vow-breaking divorce. And depending on which source you wish to cite and how you define it, sexless marriages account for roughly 25 to 30% of the total, equally common in Christian and non-Christian marriages. And then there's the historical, repressed, Puritan, neurotic relationship Christians have had with sex. It's sinful, it's bad, it's only to make babies, and you shouldn't enjoy it. The male sex drive is evil. Women shouldn't enjoy it. Modern feminist interpretations of Christianity view sex as oppression/objectification/rape. And you should avoid having sex standing up because it may lead to ballroom dancing. This frigid 1980s religious right stereotype remains today and has become even more warped on the internet. Whatever the anecdote, whatever the doctrine, or whatever the experience, Christianity always manages to put some mental complication on the path to intimacy, and on intimacy itself. But in today's world, with the internet, social media, vying political groups, and feminism superseding Jesus for many Christian women, the topic of Christian sex has become exponentially more complex, crossing over into outright insanity. The response to my tweet proved it. The fact people lost their absolute shit when I made a practical, realistic, effective suggestion based in reality shows they are delusional. Their emotionality, ferocity, and rage to the suggestion women love their men by being attractive and sexually satisfying them shows these people are at best indifferent to men's wants and desires, if not outright contemptuous of them. Worse, the outrage came from a many and diverse group of people: Christians, non-Christians, straights, gays, trans, feminists, masculinists, mommy bloggers, Pastors, Democrats, Republicans, suggesting many parties had an odd and worrying vested interest in enforcing an anti-sex, anti-male sex drive on all Christian men. And worse than that, these lies were semi-ordained by both legitimate authorities within the church, pastors, leaders, etc., and self-declared authorities, mainly Christian mommy bloggers. All because Christian men wanted to get laid and have a decent sex life. This is concerning to me, as I've never seen such a concerted, unified, vehement, yet diversified front against something as natural as the male sex drive. And it proved to me Christians, but especially Christian men, are being told not only one, but many tremendous lies about sex from many different people for many different reasons. Worse, many Christians themselves are repeating and endorsing these lies, authoritative Christians included, rendering your average Christian man hopelessly lost, grossly misinformed, and consequently susceptible to great suffering in his life. Because no matter how much everybody else hates it, sex is kinda important to men. When a Christian man believes these lies, he risks having a bad sex life, having no sex life, having a sexless marriage, having a fat or frumpy wife, being taken advantage of financially, being taken advantage of emotionally, depression, isolation, poor mental health, divorce, a broken family, ostracization from his kids, excommunication from his religion, a compromised religion, being enslaved by fraudulent religions, a feminism-first church, and the maddening experience of being shamed for your natural God-given biology. This calls for a blunt and factual treatise on sex within Christianity, especially from an independent, secular, outside third party who has no vested interest in Christianity, but is also not handicapped by its religious taboos and can therefore speak truthfully and freely about sex within the church. A sort of olive branch to Christian men from their secular brothers who frankly can't stand watching innocent people be abused, especially by their own. Specifically, this treatise will do the following. 1. It will explain why Christians have two sets of rules they must abide by, both natural/secular laws and religious laws. 2. It will explain how natural/secular laws are inviolable and must be considered in order to have a happy, successful, enjoyable sex life. It will explain how sex works, regardless of what the Bible, pastors, or tradwife mommy influencers say it should. 3. It will then explain and identify the many different people who have an unauthorized vested interest, as well as warped, perverse incentives, to dictate to Christian men, and frankly all other men, what their sex lives should be. 4. We will then explain what a healthy, ideal sex life should be, void of guilt, judgment, influence, or criticism from these various irrelevant people. And finally, 5. It will provide you both secular and biblical solutions to getting the best Christian sex life you can have, absent of criticism, critique, shame, etc. Caveats. 1. This treatise is fully aware that there are healthy Christian couples where the wife loves the man loves the wife, and they enjoy sex with each other. I am aware such couples exist, and I consulted them about their opinions on sex within Christianity. There is no need to let me or anyone else know that you have a great relationship and have a lot of sex and are devout Christians and. Congratulations. I'm glad you have a great sex life. This book isn't for you. 2. Due to time constraints during the writing of this treatise, this is not going to be a fully edited, polished product that my regular readers are accustomed to. I am currently working on many short treatise-length projects, and the editing of them has to be compromised, otherwise I literally do not have the life expectancy to finish all of them. I hope you can appreciate the message of these concise, pithy essays, absent my traditional editing standards. 3. I curse in this book. Please don't be that Christian who complains about it.